and welcome to the CUInsight Network podcast. My name is Lauren Culp. I'm the publisher and CEO at CUInsight.com, and it's my job on this show to have conversations with the thought leaders who support the credit union community. We get to identify those issues that affect credit unions and talk about all the best practices that exist so we can learn from one another and improve our industry. I am really thrilled to have today's guest joining us. David Everson, the Senior Director of Solutions Marketing at Laserfiche, is here with me. David, thank you so much for joining.
Lauren, thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to having our conversation and giving some of your members some insight.
Well, we did not, most of us anyway, did not grow up thinking that we would get to work with credit unions. I know when I was younger, I had no idea what a credit union even was. And you hear that from time to time in the industry. I'm curious, what did you want to be growing up?
You know, that's a great question. And I can tell you, growing up, my family was in government. So we were always part of credit unions ourselves. We were part of the Space Coast Credit Union in Central Florida. So I had some really good exposure growing up, just having some fun with it. And from my side, my whole family was in the medical field. So I had aspirations of being a physician, even applied to medical school and really dove deep into the science behind that. And my career took a nice detour as I got exposed to brand management, and product marketing through some of my early career choices working for Ralph Lauren. So definitely a departure from medicine, but still had a lot of fun being exposed to both areas of my career choices.
That is incredible. Well, what a journey you've had in your own career. What was that journey like to now as the Senior Director role of Solutions Marketing at Laserfiche?
Yeah, fair question. So early in my career, I started to work for Ralph Lauren. And in the 80s, there was probably no stronger brand in the marketplace that had built a brand identity for consumers. And so all through school, I was working for Ralph Lauren and had a chance to move to Hawaii to work in one of their larger retail stores while I was going to school, again, applying for medical school. And so that career path in brand management really catapulted me into the next phase of my career as I moved back to the mainland part of the US and worked for the big brands like Williams-Sonoma, Pottery Barn, Nike, Adidas, Columbia Sportswear, et cetera. So had a chance to take that, I call it transferable assets, and really dive into kind of B2B, business to business and business to consumer brand and product marketing. And so it was a natural transition for me to move over to Laserfiche because it had a really great product suite, really great solutions. And at the end of the day, I'm a storyteller. So having the opportunity to talk about great features and benefits of a particular brand and brand story is what attracts me to a career choice.
I love hearing that career journey. And I love that you are bringing what you call transferable assets into this role. So tell our audience a little bit more about Laserfiche. What's that elevator pitch you give folks about what Laserfiche does and where you really add value for credit unions?
You bet. And so Laserfiche has been in business for over 30 years. We're a software company that was founded in Long Beach, California. And early on in Laserfiche's product suite and development, they coined the term paperless office. So as you can appreciate, the idea of managing just the sheer volume of paper, whether that's member onboarding or member detail information or loans approvals, you can imagine the amount of paperwork that was inundating businesses. So Laserfiche really built a business model under three big areas. One is that intelligent content capture or data, processing all of that information, and then taking that information into a document and records management system that allows for collaboration or kind of the single source of truth, if you will. We can imagine the amount of paperwork involved. And so if you can take that and digitize it, now you have a single source of truth and a central repository. And then the third bucket that Laserfiche really helped with, which is Laserfiche Forms. And so those forms really allow businesses to help with process automation, internal communication strategies, member engagement. And so it really helps, again, build that single source of truth. So those Laserfiche forms interact with other areas of the paper world through digitization and intelligent content capture, and then again, storing it all through a Laserfiche document and records management repository. So simply put, Laserfiche helps employees be more productive, eliminating all those administrative tasks so they can focus on high priority initiatives like member satisfaction.
I think that is such a great summation of what Laserfiche really offers to credit unions. I want to ask you too about omni-channel banking across, credit unions, online channels, mobile devices, in-person call center, all of that. What do you think is really the most important consideration for credit unions to ensure that they have this really good, seamless member experience, regardless of the channel that the member chooses to interact within?
Establishing this centralized, secure, that single source of truth for institution is business critical. And so Laserfiche function as that information backbone. And we connect all lines of businesses. And so whether that's applications or business integrations or internal work streams and workflows, Laserfiche is that true centralized backbone and really helps with that process improvement, process automation, and overall business efficiencies.
I love hearing that. And thank you so much for sharing. I'm curious, when you talk about the central source of truth with some of these integrations, what are the key outcomes that credit unions can expect from that?
So as you can imagine, when you think about locations that have multiple branches and the ability for these branches to communicate, so reducing those information silos, really optimizing operational efficiencies, really improving the member experience, right? I mean, that's at the foundation of credit unions, is making sure the member experience is premium and more personalized. And that also helps with the brand reputation, those institutionalized reputation, if you will. And so really the benefit kind of comes down to how is the member interacting with the credit union and what are the operational efficiencies that were put into place to help with that, not only member experience, but the internal and interdepartment operability and efficiencies as well.
I love all of that information. I think those are such important considerations for credit unions. And really, that central source of truth is so important, especially for organizations that oftentimes have a lot of legacy solutions that are kind of patchworked together. One of the solutions that Laserfiche offers that seems really interesting, especially for credit unions that really want to jumpstart their automation or credit unions that have limited in-house IT resources. The solution you offer is that pre-built solution templates to help credit unions really automate those business processes. So could you tell us a little bit more about the solutions marketplace?
Yeah, we're really proud about this. We call it the solution marketplace because it is just that. It's a marketplace or a library of solutions that other organizations have developed, as well as what Laserfiche has developed. So when you think about, to your point, a lot of organizations don't have a heavy IT department. And so you want to implement a software that's very low code or no code. So very user friendly. Don't need a programming background to use the software. And so the ability to access this free library that we call the solution marketplace. And within that library, there are pre-built forms. So you heard me earlier talking about the Laserfiche forms. We have pre-built workflows. So that automation workflow that the software automates and runs data. And then we also have kind of training modules and support areas that can really help users understand and how to maximize their work streams and workflows. And so this free library of assets really can help organizations on day 2 increase their return on investment. So there isn't a big runway to implement Laserfiche. There isn't a big runway to really drive efficiencies in the workplace. Our free library of assets is just that. You can search it. You can look at the different areas of the business that we support, and users can download those work forms and workflows for free.
That is incredible. And so much about the way that the credit union industry operates is really in collaborating and leveraging some of those shared resources. This is such a good fit for the industry. It's so exciting to hear about the work you've done on this. I can definitely see why you're so proud of it. In today's digital world, too, speed and agility are more important than ever. I'm curious about the pre-built integration connectors that Laserfiche offers. How do those really support credit unions in that arena of speed and agility?
Fair question. So you heard me earlier talk about Laserfiche as that central backbone of data management. And as you can appreciate, most organizations have hundreds of applications. So think about DocuSign as an example, and being able to remotely get member signatures on particular documents. Laserfiche has direct integrations with certain applications. And those direct integrations, without getting too technical, allow that digital handshake to happen so that data transfers between that particular application and Laserfiche. And then, of course, Laserfiche can store all of that data in our Laserfiche repository. So if you think about something simple as, hey, reaching out to a member for a signature, we connect that through some sort of e-signature platform, and then Laserfiche does that type of repository and data storage. Laserfiche is also part of an initiative called iPaaS, or Integration Platform as a Service. And so we use these aggregates, Boomi and MuleSoft to be specific. Those are companies then that helps Laserfiche connect with hundreds of applications. So whether that's an HR department or accounts payable or receivable department, or even procurement, when you think about different areas of the business and the different departments have their own applications that support their business needs, Laserfiche is now part of an iPaaS initiative that connects with hundreds of applications that, again, can help streamline business processes, connect different departments in a way that they haven't been able to connect it prior. And again, Laserfiche can be that central backbone of all that data management.
What are some of the trends that you're really seeing within credit unions as far as some of the challenges that they experienced maybe pre-pandemic and implemented during and post-pandemic?
Really great question. And so as you can appreciate, when, the pandemic happened, there was a pretty knee-jerk reaction where people were staying home, but yet business still needed to happen. And so what we found for credit unions that were early adopters of these type of challenges is they were able to think about how to minimize the amount of paperwork needed to engage with members. And the only way to really do that is to have a digital initiative or a digital optimization strategy that can then eliminate paperwork and go to a digitization format. And so Laserfiche really helped credit unions with that digital transformation. And then the second piece is, because we had pre-built forms and we have this whole Laserfiche form and repository piece, it really helped then with regulatory compliance. And so as you can appreciate, when you think about the National Credit Union Organization and administration that helps with records management and record keeping, think of it as that Part 749 of the NCUA. Those requirements are pretty stringent. And so helping credit unions with really managing those regulatory requirements and those requirements to store and have data that's accessible. The early adopters from credit unions that really were looking at enterprise content management software solutions and choosing Laserfiche dramatically increased their compliance requirements and the regulatory support for those compliance. So really, it's a two-pronged approach. We were able to capitalize on the need to eliminate paperwork through the pandemic, and we were able to support that through our process automation, data capture, and records management. But equally important, specific to the credit unions, all of those regulatory requirements really helped simplify that and keep it into a central location. So it was a two-pronged approach, helping member services and employees with the credit unions be more efficient with the members, and on the regulatory and the compliance side of the business as well.
Thank you for sharing that. I think those trends are really critical for credit unions, especially to be able to be on the cutting edge of what financial services can offer to members and to stay compliant. As we look to the future, what would you say is Laserfiche's focus for the road ahead?
So we're going to continue to do product enhancements, right? So we've got a great foundation. And so product enhancements for us really start to introduce AI and machine learning. And so we're all part of the news cycle that talks a lot about OpenAI and ChatGPT. And, they've got some really great, news feeds around being able to author documents and develop content. And the beauty of all that is, as an organization, we're starting to investigate how generative AI, which, the difference between AI and generative AI is, think of it as AI can validate data based on algorithms and formatting, but generative AI can generate content. And so when you think about ChatGPT, that's actually authoring content, we have to look at how we can incorporate that technology into Laserfiche. So for example, just this month, we introduced our regular expression builder, which, without getting too technical, is just basically a format that allows generative AI to generate code that is a validation format. And we're also looking at product enhancements that can take this repository with tens of thousands of documents and using generative AI to scan those documents and provide a summary of the content of those documents. So creating a summary of data that's in the repository. So Laserfiche is really looking at to enhance our product suite using the technology that's available today and in the future to, again, help enhance the productivity for our customers.
Thank you so much for sharing. It is so cool to hear about what is on that roadmap and what Laserfiche clients can look forward to in the years ahead. I know AI is on everyone's mind right now. It's great to hear about the work you're doing around that. As we wrap up the show, I always like to have some fun with our guests with rapid fire questions to let our listeners get to know you a little bit better too. I always say the questions are rapid, but your answers don't have to be. You ready?
Okay, bring it on.
First question, who is someone in your life that was a great leader and what makes them so great?
I have to say, it's a friend of mine who is actually a friend now, but she was my hiring manager at Nike. And what made her such a great leader is her patience and tenacity to eliminate roadblocks to allow me to do my job better. I'm happy to say after 30 years, she's still one of my close friends. We had dinner last week, and she just is really inspirational and a great mentor for me.
I love that. Great leaders definitely remove those roadblocks for folks. All right. What is a book that you think just everybody should read?
Absolutely pick up Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. If you haven't had a chance to read it, it's a really nice short read, really small book, but it really highlights how, we can get involved in some of those tactical details every day that really in the big picture don't matter. And so this book is a really fun book that don't sweat the small stuff, really focus on the big picture, live in the moment, and don't get distracted by the everyday noise that comes to us as being consumers in this crazy world that we live in.
I love that. We're going to link to that book here in the show notes. So if anyone listening who wants to get a copy, we'll have that link right there. I'm curious too, from your perspective, David, what has been maybe your best hack for creating some balance and integration between your work life and maybe your life or your personal life?
Work-life balance, right? That's a challenge for all of us. So I think, at the end of the day, we want to be healthy employees. And as part of that, we need to have a healthy personal life. So I think it's a work hard, play hard mentality, right? And not being afraid to unplug when you need to unplug and not be part of that 24/7 culture. And I think that starts with great leadership. And, I hope that everyone listening to the call today can identify that our personal lives is the most important aspect of our daily lives. And a happy employee really is the derivative of our personal life. And so maintaining that work-life balance and being able to unplug, I think, is business critical for everybody.
Totally agree. Well, we're going to link to everything we talked about today in the show notes, along with some contact information for folks who are looking to get in touch with you and your team at Laserfiche to learn a little bit more or request a demo, any of that good stuff. But before we wrap up, my last question for you, David, is do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share or final asks of our listeners today?
No, I really appreciate the opportunity, and everybody wants to be more efficient in their job, and everybody would like the opportunity to take those administrative tasks off and really focus on high priority initiatives, member engagement being one of them, and operational efficiencies being another. So if you have an opportunity, take a look at our website, take a look at some of our demonstrations that we have, and we'd be happy to engage with you and partner with you and understand what challenges you're trying to solve and how Laserfiche can solve them for you.
What a perfect way to wrap up the episode. Thank you so much, David, for joining today. It was great to hear more about the work that Laserfiche does and a little bit about you as well.
My pleasure. Thank you, Lauren.
Well, stay well. And thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in today to the CUInsight Network podcast. And we will be back again next time.